today we're going to be talking about setting your future self up. Now, I want you to think about how many times you might be doing the opposite of that. Like you might be not setting your future self up. How many times you maybe delay something for your future self to deal with, maybe not taking care of something so that your future self then has to deal with it. Or maybe sometimes there's even this delay of like making a decision or like taking the action. And I want to say that like all of these things are not necessarily wrong. Like we can definitely delay a decision to our future self. Sometimes that makes perfect sense. We can also delay a task to our future self. Like we don't need to do everything today because our future self can do some things later. But I want you to think about when it's not intentional, when we're doing it because we're wanting to avoid the feeling now. But what we end up doing is we end up creating the feeling for now and between, and then when we actually do it. And so we end up extending it out. And so spending some time today, even just like making a list of like, what are all the ways that you could set your future self up? So some of the things that I've been doing is, of course, I like to plan out my calendar. So that helps me. That helps me plan out my tasks so that my future self doesn't have to think about it. She can just show up and she can just start doing the things that she wants to do. Another thing that I've also been doing is actually like washing the clothes, drying the clothes, and then putting up the clothes. Like that's just the entire process. Instead of washing them, drying them, and then I'll put them up at a different time. And so I've just been kind of doing that because then my future self loves it. One, I feel awesome because I got it all done just like that. But then also, all the clothes are already put up. Another thing that I've been doing is actually like cooking things like chili. I love to cook chili and then I freeze some because then later we can have chili without me having to make it every single time. So just think about some ideas of how could you set your future self up and think about why that would be important to you and why it would be worth it to you, even though right now it might be a little uncomfortable to do the thing. And this also goes for those tasks that like you're putting off. Like maybe you want to set your future self up, but like planning an exact time that you're going to do it. You might want to set your future self up by actually doing it now, or you might want to set your future self up by deciding that actually we're not going to do that thing, or even delegating it to someone else. So play around with this. Like in what ways could you set your future self up? And you can also play around with the time frame. Like there's the future self of you like next week. There's the future self of you in a couple of days. There's that future version of you like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. How do you want to set your future self up so that in the future, you're looking at past you and you're like, oh, thank you. Thank you for doing these things. Thank you for building these skills. Thank you for adding in these practices. Did you know that you can get access to the Why You Aren't Taking Action video right now for free? Just go to successbykayla.com to get instant access to this video where I'll explain to you why you aren't taking action, how to actually solve for this so that you can actually move forward and take more action toward your goals. Go to successbykayla.com to get instant access now.